Good evening. Oh my gosh. Good evening, everyone. I'm Mr. Nelson, the person who keeps bugging y'all through email. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. This is great. Juniors, please take advantage of this opportunity to ask questions. There's 3 rotations going on. Each rotation is 35 minutes. You're in the How Do I Get Admitted session right now. Make sure you check the schedule for the other session locations. This session is a Q&A panel. You have all these wonderful admissions counselors here, okay? I used to be an admissions counselor, okay? At UNT, go Mean Green, that's my alma mater, okay? I did it for 2 years. They have all the answers. I am your college and career coordinator, but there are only so many colleges. They know all the answers to their specific colleges, okay? They're the people that you really want to connect with, okay? So parents, students, ask questions, be engaged. I got to run to the next session and do an introduction as well. So thank you all for being here.
Thank you.
Sure.
Oh, Alyssa is your student aide.
I don't know about the question.
Okay, cool. Okay, we'll do quick intros real quick, and then we'll just start our Q&A panel. So hi, my name is Zaria Kelly. I'm a senior admissions counselor at the University of Texas at Arlington. A little bit about UTA. So we're 2.5 hours away from here in Arlington, Texas. 30 minutes from downtown Dallas, 20 minutes from downtown Fort Worth. We're a D1 school, Texas Tier 1 school. We have over 180 different programs. We auto-admit students in the top 25% or a 3.0 unweighted GPA or higher. We are test optional and an essay blind institution, which means we do not accept essays at all for general admissions purposes. So that's a little bit about UT Arlington.
And how do I follow that up? My name is Sergio Seca. I am a regional recruiter with the University of Alabama. We roll tide. We are in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. We're about, I'm going to say, 12-ish hours from here. If you were to drive, you can get to Alabama super quickly if you fly Austin to Dallas, Dallas to Birmingham, and then Birmingham's about an hour from Tuscaloosa. Over 200 different majors and minors that you can pick from on campus. We have been test optional the last couple of years. We will be test optional for juniors. So juniors, by the time you apply to Alabama, will still be test optional. We have rolling admissions, so we admit students year round. But yeah, that's pretty, I mean, I don't know what else you said, but we'll answer any questions you might have. Yes.
So hi, my name is Christina Acevedo. I hail from Killeen, Texas, about an hour away north from here. Some of you I've already spoken to, so you do know my spiel a little bit. Just really quick, we are a 4-year university. We sit under our flagship school, the Aggies, but we are a different institution. We have a different mascot and different programs, but we certainly have the same quality education that our sister school offers. So whatever questions you may have, I'm happy to answer.
Hi everyone, my name is Hannah Salinas. I am a first-year recruiter for A&M San Antonio. So again, part of the A&M system school, but we are a standalone institution. We've been around for about 13 years. Our current application requirements are a 3.25 GPA, or being in the top 25% will get you an auto-admit. We are completely test optional. We have no essay or letter of recommendation requirements to be submitted for you to get a decision with us.
Hi everyone, my name is Jennifer Gunthu. I'm an admissions counselor with the University of Texas at San Antonio. We are a 4-year Hispanic serving institution. We're 400 acres, 4 campuses all throughout San Antonio. We admit the top 25% of students, as well as if you have an SAT score of 1170 or an ACT score of 24, and right now we are also test optional.
Howdy y'all, my name is Sarah Peacock and I'm the regional advisor for Texas A&M and College Station, and so we are the flagship institution of the A&M system. We are the largest university in the state of Texas, and we are the 2nd largest university in the country. Our engineering program is ranked in the top 10 nationally. Our business program is top 25 in the nation. We do have the #1 animation program in the state of Texas, and we have the #4 vet school in the nation. And so that's a little bit about A&M. We are a very large place, don't let that scare you. Very easy to get involved, get connected at Texas A&M. The top 10% is going to be an automatic admission to Texas A&M. All other students will be holistically reviewed. There is no automatic admission to our engineering program. All students must be holistically reviewed for that program as well.
I think she had her hand up first, way down there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks. So we've heard a lot about test optional and essay not required. So when you say test optional, what are the main things colleges are looking for during admission?
I think it really depends on the institution, and I think also test optional at one institution might have a different meaning at another institution. So for Texas A&M, we're test optional, but our policy is essentially no harm, no foul. So if a student gives us a test score, we only use it if it helps them. If they don't give us a test score, they're not penalized for that. Some students, other schools might be test optional, but if you give us a test score, they will review it no matter what, even if it hurts their chances of admission. So it can really differ institution to institution what test optional means. As far as what we're looking at outside of that, most of us, I would say, have a pretty holistic review process for students. And so we love to see students who are well-rounded, who are actively involved in their community, in their school, who have leadership roles. We like to look at students who maybe had unique opportunities in their education, maybe challenging circumstances, talents, awards, honors, etc.
Yeah, I will say at the University of Alabama, we are test optional. Again, the whole holistic review. We do review our students' applications holistically. However, if you apply to Alabama, if you have intentions of not submitting a test score, but you click on the application and submit your application saying that you're going to submit a test score, we will need that test score. So just double check and triple check when you're applying. And then I just also wanted to clarify, am I the only out of state?
Yes.
Nice. So being an out-of-state school, when I first moved here, the whole automatic admission top whatever percentage of your class, that doesn't apply at Alabama. So we don't have that requirement at Alabama. So just because you're in the top 25, top 10, that won't guarantee an automatic admission at Alabama. We don't do that. So holistic review, double check and triple check that you're applying test optional or indicating you're submitting test scores. That's the way we do it on our campus.
One of the schools, and I'm sure it's like other schools, when you look at their school-based scholarships, they still look at your ranking as well as your test score. So is that when, I know it's separate from being admitted, but is that still accurate for the class of 2024 that they will review, and of course you have merit scholars, that's a different category, but will they still review that test score?
It
Or
depends
that
on the
age.
institution. So it'll depend on the institution. Like for A&M, we're test optional across the board, admissions, scholarships, honors program consideration. That's not true at every school.
Okay. I'm sorry, just one more question. My husband's active duty military, so some other states we lived in, they've had a free application period. Does that apply in the state of Texas where it's a certain window or something where if you get your college applications in or the fees, is that accurate?
So for A&M San Antonio, we are a military serving institution, so the whole month of November, around Veterans Day, we waive our application fee. So you won't have to pay for the application at all during that month of November.
It'll differ institution to institution, most likely.
Yeah, and with my institution, right now we have a program where it's waived up until the end of April. So you can apply up until April and not pay the $30 fee and save yourself some money there.
Yes, sir.
What are the more common mistakes that you see people making when they're going through the admission process that can hang up an otherwise qualified candidate?
I will say, when you're applying to schools and you're filling out their applications, some schools will ask that you submit, your resume, etc. Other applications the application itself will, you'll kind of maybe copy and paste some of your stuff from your resume onto the application. Something that I always tell my students, just a general rule of thumb, make sure that you're explaining and distinguishing what some of your extracurricular activities are, or for example, if things are like abbreviated, make sure that you're explaining that, because especially if you're applying to an out-of-state school, like if we're not like familiar with some clubs, organizations that are specific to the state of Texas, or awards in the state of Texas, and you submit, I mean, I can't think of something off the top of my head, but make sure that if there's like an acronym, that you're using an acronym, make sure you spell that out the first time or something, because we want to know what that club is or what that award is. So just try to be as thorough as you can be on your application when it comes to like listing your accomplishments, organizations, etc. Because yeah, sometimes different schools might not know what that specific award or organization is called. So just be as thorough as you can be.
One of my ones that I kind of just want to add in as well. One thing that I like to tell students is do not get hung up on a denied decision. Most institutions, and particularly with mine, UT Arlington, we have an appeals decision. You can appeal your decision. With our appeals, we require students to submit that personal essay and that letter of recommendation, which we don't require for general admissions, and it gives us a completely different view from a student standpoint. So I just say that within your denied decisions, if that's one of your top schools, top 3, top 5 that you're really wanting to get into, inquire with your admissions counselor and say, hey, what can I do about an appeal? Or what are the likelihood of the appeals? I sit on my appeals committee at UT Arlington, and I cannot tell you how many times we have overturned a student's denied decision because of that personal essay that they gave us that told us exactly what went on. We know so many things go on in students' lives, and we don't see that from a general admissions standpoint, at least at UT Arlington. So that essay or that letter of rec really helps us know, oh, you know, something happened with the diagnosis, this student had to work 40 hours a week. Or, you know, something happened with the parent's family, you know, this student had to go through that. So definitely look at appeals when it comes to schools, because 9 times out of 10, there's always some type of appeals route for a student to take when it comes to a denied decision.
I'll expand on the essay a little bit as well. I read many a good essay, fine quality, fantastic writing, but they don't answer the question that we're asking them, or it doesn't have relevancy to college admissions. And so I had a student that the counselor called me last week, and the counselor was so confused because the student had everything that we should want in a college application. A near perfect test score. They were not quite top 10%, they were really close. But I went and read her essay, and it was like half the length that it probably should have been. It was a fantastic piece of writing, but it had nothing to do with our essay prompt and what we were asking. So you probably see a lot of students who recycle their essay topic from college to college, which is fine, as long as it's answering the question being asked. And so that's something that I really encourage students to take a look at. Are you answering the question that is being asked of you?
And make sure you're putting the right school. Like she said, recycling, that is something, you know, we all laugh at and giggle, but some schools do not tolerate that at all. They see you, oh, I wrote an essay for University of Texas, UT, and you send it to A&M? What? So be very, very careful. I know a lot of us, we don't really care maybe if you recycle it, but tweak it to the school and what that school offers, because I see it all the time. I'll get an essay and they say, University of Texas at Austin. That's not me. So just be very, very careful with your wording and where you're sending your essays and things to.
Yeah, proofread.
Yes.
Please proofread. Yeah. There was a hand that's been up a few times that we heard.
Oh, sorry. So what are y'all's like ROTC programs like?
We have Army and Air Force on our campus. We have ROTC, we have military sciences, and we have the Green to Gold program. So Green to Gold is for currently students who are going to be currently enlisting, and they'll go through admissions process there, do military sciences, and they'll do everything else with the military. But then we also have ROTC as well if you didn't want to do a military science degree.
At our school, we have Army, Air Force, National Guard, ROTC. I think that's all that we have at Alabama.
Our institution has only Army.
We offer both Air Force and Army that do compete at the collegiate level, so they do compete alongside major universities within San Antonio and the surrounding areas of Texas.
We have ROTC and Army, and most of our students also complete their general basics, like basic training as a student would do TSA as well.
We have the Corps Cadets. We were founded as an all-male military institution. And so we will have the largest program of any school, not just sitting here, but in Texas. Texas and actually most of the nation. And so our Corps of Cadets represents all branches of the military, and so 90% of students who are involved in our Corps of Cadets have a scholarship directly from the Corps, so it's a great source of extra funding. Most of our students in the Corps of Cadets have a higher GPA than students who are not in the Corps of Cadets. It's a very structured environment. You are living as if you were in the military. You wear a uniform to class. You wear a uniform if you're in any school building. You have standardized study times, like quiet hours, like lights out, wake up time. Like, it is a very structured environment. Only about 40% of students commission into the military from the Corps of Cadets. The rest of them go into the private sector or public sector.
So it's like, and kind of like over, like, not exactly. It's like over all of the branches.
Yeah, you'll have like a unit within the Corps of Cadets that's affiliated with a certain branch.
Is it like everyone that wants to, or that wants to be in that type of a branch? Is everyone just like in one class, or is it like multiple classes of like the same branch?
So you'll have like specific classes that you go to as part of like the Corps of Cadets, but you spend most of your time with your specific unit that's like affiliated with that certain branch.
Okay.
Yeah.
How soon can they start applying, and then how long does it take to get a decision?
It will also depend.
So A&M San Antonio's application will open on August 1st of every year and will stay open until June 30th of the following year. So it's almost an entire year worth of application being open. If students choose to apply as early as August 1, we will not start spitting out decisions until September 1st, but we have rolling decisions, so they'll go all year round. So they'll get decisions up until like the first week of July, because we won't accept any kind of documentation after June 30th of that following year.
Yeah, we can also.
So UTSA's application opens up on August 1st and stays open up until June 1st, so almost a whole year as well. We have our priority deadline on January 15th, which we have a lot of scholarships that students are automatically considered for with the general application, so that priority deadline would be the deadline to submit an application to be considered for those scholarships. But we don't start looking at applications until December 15th. And then we usually say maybe give about 6 to 8 weeks for a student to receive a decision back from whenever they submit their application.
For us, our application opens up August 1st every year, closes December 1st every year, so it's only open for about 4 months. We do have a priority date for students interested in engineering of October 15th. That's not a deadline. The only deadline we have is December 1. You can hear back within a few weeks. It can take about 7 months. It really depends. And so the latest students generally hear back from us is about March 1st.
Yeah, ours is going to be actually a little bit earlier, so we open our applications July 1st. We do rolling admissions as well, but our rolling admissions goes through the first class day of that first semester, so we can admit somebody basically all through that time. Students who are more academically achieving, so 3.5 or higher, top 10% can see a decision in as little as 2 weeks, but I don't see anything more than 6 weeks for a general admissions decision for our students. We have no type of binding admissions, so a student can accept or withdraw their application at any point in time during that application process.
With the University of Alabama, we're also rolling admissions. Typically, our application will go live usually like the second week of July, and then we also typically accept applications up until the start of classes. I do not recommend applying or waiting to apply until then, but we admit year-round. We'll start releasing admissions decisions in September, and then it takes about 2 to 3 weeks to hear back about an admittance decision. And then we do also have a priority deadline in regards to being considered for competitive scholarships at the University of Alabama, which is also January 15th. It's been that date the last couple of years, so if a student applies to Alabama by January 15th, regardless if they apply with a test score or without, they'll be considered for our competitive scholarships. And then if your student meets requirements for automatic merit scholarships, then they can apply up until, I believe, if they meet an automatic merit scholarship requirement, they must apply before May 1st in order to receive an automatic merit scholarship.
And if you visited my table at A&M Central Texas in Killeen, we are very different from these four-year institutions. We are considered a four-year university, but you complete your first 2 years if you visit my table at a junior college. So as far as admission and when applications are due, basically it's rolling as well. We have a spring, summer, and fall semester. All you would need to do is apply even 2 weeks before school starts. And if you meet our admission requirements, we get a decision in 5 to 7 business days, and you'd be absolutely admitted. And if you did stop by my table, you did the hard work in that first 2 years. So entrance into our university is a 2.0 GPA and 30 academic credit hours to transfer over, because we're a transfer university. And that's, you just turn in your application 2 weeks before school starts, you would be admitted and you can start. And it goes up until even the second 8 weeks in the spring and fall semester. You have until then. So it's a very different university. I'm happy to answer more questions later, but that's how we go.
Yes, sir.
Okay, it's been a while since I applied to the college or university. I keep hearing resume or other attachments that are, what are the components for an application? Is it just an application online? Back in my day, we did it on paper, and mailed them in, along with transcripts, snail mail, not even mail. But anyway,
Yeah, so
I know I'm dating myself, but what are the primary components? Is it just an online website that opens on August 1st?
Yeah, so for A&M San Antonio, we have 2 open applications. The first is going to be through Apply Texas. The second is going to be through our website, Become a Jaguar, so students can choose whichever application they would like to utilize. There really isn't a difference. It's just convenience. Because we only require an application and a high school transcript, that's really all they have to submit. The waiting period for that really comes down to how long the high school takes to submit the high school transcript to us, because we can get an application within 48 hours.
Is that by mail?
No, online, completely all submitted online. We don't do any kind of paper applications, and then so they'll do that, and then if they're taking.
High school, is that by mail, or is it also?
It's all electric, yes. So the high schools can send it. We can accept it from a student via email. We can accept it from the counselor via email. If they're using a third party like Parchment, we'll take it that way as well.
I heard some of y'all say a resume. Some of y'all require resumes on top of the admission document?
It'll just depend. So for UTA, we actually do not accept it at all. So if a student reached out to me and said, hey Zaria, here's my letter of rec, respectfully, I'll decline. We just don't take them at all. Even on the Apply Texas application, on the supplemental part, we gray ours out. You cannot submit it at all. And that's because we try to eliminate a little bit of a less stressful process when it comes to answering a supplemental question or an essay, and that's just for UT Arlington's standpoint. But for everything that we say in every institution, we're all going to differ. And so it's really, really important to get in contact with one of us, your admissions representatives, because even though we're all going to be some type of, higher ed institution, we're all going to be extremely different in terms of like what they accept. Because I know the rest of us up here, that is going to be completely different. I know that they may require certain documents for students to turn into process an application.
Yeah, most schools will be on an application platform of some kind, and so Apply Texas is a big one for Texas public schools. The Common App is a big one nationwide. There's also one called Coalition, which is kind of being phased out these days, it seems. And then also, as A&M San Antonio mentioned, some schools have their own applications on their websites. And so private schools, I think, are more common to have that than public schools. For most of us, I would say kind of standard structure is we need application, we need transcripts. Alabama, I think you're on my train of being annoying, where we require something called the self-reported academic record. Okay, perfect. We have more people that are annoying. And so we actually at A&M no longer require transcripts from students. Students have to self-report their grades to us. We only need a transcript from students if they're ranked in the top 10% of their class to verify that class ranking. So essentially a student gets a transcript from their high school and they copy it line by line by line into that system. Most schools, I would say these days, have optional requirements like an extended resume, like letters of recommendation. That one will differ school to school. But that's kind of, I think, the main components of an application. Other application fees, $75, that'll depend on school to school what that application fee is as well. Is there any kind of major component of an application I'm missing? Yeah. The application is a very thorough document most of the time. It will take some time to
Correct.
fill out. And so I generally tell students, you need to read through that a few times
Yes.
before you submit it. I
Yes.
had a student last year who put their social security number wrong on their application. That took 4 months to fix. And so be careful. Like, it's the simple things that can really go wrong.
Yeah. Go ahead. I was just gonna clarify real quick with Alabama, we actually do require transcripts still. But it needs to come from the school counselor or the school. If a student tries to submit a transcript to us themselves, we're not gonna take it. So we need it to come from the school or from the counselor. And then I'm trying to think what else.
It needs to be official most of the
It
time.
needs to be, yeah, an
It can't be
official,
like a screenshot or
yeah,
unofficial.
an official transcript.
An official to, I think most of our institutions means it needs to either come from, like they said, a school official, or if you are mailing it in at UT Arlington, we accept mail transcripts. It needs to be in a sealed envelope. So official to us, the easiest way I can explain it, is the student cannot see any of the grades. So it needs to be in a sealed, stamped, signed envelope. And then another thing I want to say, going into what Sarah was saying, take your time on your applications. It's not a race to apply. Of course, we have different deadlines, but once you submit the application, that application is locked in. You cannot change anything else. So you can go back and go in and edit and work on it a couple hours here one day and the next day, but once you send that application to the school, successfully submit it, it is done, it is locked in. So make sure you're definitely just taking your time, being consistent and diligent with what you're adding onto your applications.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest myths of college applications is I've got to apply day one. That's going to make the biggest difference. You probably heard most of us say we're not looking at them until September, so there's no rush. Like, please at least sleep on it. Like, if I can impart anything to you, is please wait, you know? Day one is not going to make a difference from day 14. It's really not.
So a lot of the kids are able to take dual credit classes. They count for high school as well as community college. And at times they may have enough credits to actually graduate from high school, but also be a sophomore or a junior with enough college credits. How does the admissions process vary, or does it in that instance?
For us, it's not going to vary at all other than the title of the student. So if the student's coming in with less than 29 credit hours, they're going to be considered a first-year student. If they're coming in with more than 30 college credit hours, they're going to be considered a first-year transfer student. But the GPA requirement still stands. We're still going to require a high school transcript, but we're now also going to require a community college or a four-year institution transcript based on where they're getting their college credits from for them to transfer over. They do self-report on the application if they are receiving college credits. If they say that they have taken any kind of AP or dual credit, their application cannot be marked complete until we get both the high school and the college transcript. So if they self-report, yes, I took college classes, they will be considered incomplete until we get both sets of transcripts.
And most,
So that's where I come in. I'm very different. You talk about dual credit and coming out with your associates at University of A&M Central Texas. They'll be considered a junior if they have 30 or more academic credit hours to transfer over, and they can start taking their bachelor courses. They may not be core complete, we call it, on the junior level section, so they will dual enroll and they'll take courses with us and maybe at ACC. And we have financial aid that will help assist if they're doing, if they apply for financial aid. So yeah, they'll be a junior. Same like her, you would have to report that. You would turn in your official transcript. College Board is where you'll go get the AP course, course grade and transcript. And if you are at ACC, you ask ACC to send official transcripts to us. And that's where we're different in that area. So you would be considered to come in as a junior.
We have like 3-ish minutes left, so.
Yeah.
So like, what are all y'all's GPA requirements?
For auto admit,
Not
it's
auto admit, like, not in the top percentage, like just.
It really depends. It goes through committee reviews. So for our committee review process, so just kind of in general, on auto admit for us is a 3.25. Anything less than that 3.25 is going to go through the review process. What we're looking for during that review process for our specific institution is if you have a D or an F in any of the main core classes, English, Math, Science, or History, we will probably not accept you. We will recommend you to a community college. If you have have a C or higher in any of those, if you submit any kind of letters of recommendation or anything like that as well, those go towards your decision with us, whether you get a denial or an acceptance, and then that's where you can go through the appeal process. There's not really a set GPA for our committee review process. It's either the auto 3.25 or it just goes through review.
Okay. So is that if you have like a D or an F in any of your classes, is that throughout all of your years of high school?
So we look for progression. So if you got like an F in your freshman level English class, but you've gotten A's and B's for sophomore, junior, and senior year, we're going to take that into consideration. If you degress and you start getting F's after your freshman year, we're going to also take that into consideration when we're pushing out decisions. So we're really looking for progression. So if you have one F from freshman or sophomore year, don't take that take that with a grain of salt, because if you improve, we're gonna look at that.
Okay. So wait, what about for all y'all? What's y'all's GPA?
Ours is a 3.0. Doesn't matter where you stand, class size, nothing. 3.0, you're accepted.
Yeah. For Alabama, since we are on that test optional holistic review, we don't have a set GPA, but I do tell my students that if you have at least a 3.0 GPA, it's going to be a lot easier for you to get into Alabama. Anything below that, again, we're doing that holistic review, so try to aim for that 3.0.
And this is all taken weighted or unweighted GPA?
Depends. Ours is unweighted.
Ours is also unweighted.
I'm simple. 2.0 GPA, do you have to have college credit? Remember though, so you're transferring 30 academic credit hours and you have to have a 2.0 or above. You did the hard work, your high school year, dual credit, that's all you need.
I think we're at the transition point. Feel free to go to the next session.
That way acceptance starts to the entire
I was waiting for that, you know.
So you're about what, 5 or 6% of your class? However, we don't take your full credit GPA into consideration with our
Yeah, so I mean, everything for us, like we'll take IB,
I would probably talk to Mr. Nelson and see if like that's something on your end. I don't know if they included it for your transfer specifically.
But yeah, I mean, typically if a student is ranking higher, but yeah, like class ranking.
Okay, beautiful.